We go reading The Happy Life from Divaldo Pereira Franco by Joanna De Angele. This is today we go talk like that. Today at least put beauty in your eyes so you can see life through clear lens. Get rid of the negative impressions that you took to bed with your last night and get ready to face the world and people with a measure of goodwill. You will note that your inner state will improve and everything will take on a pleasant life around you. Goodwill toward others comes back to you as a friendliness and companionship from them. Face the new day, ready to win, and to conquer the space that the world has reserved for you. This is a good message. Okay. Can I make the
prayer? Yeah.
Okay. Oh, in English. Okay, God, Lord, whatever you want to say, but they are our light in our life. They teaching us how to walk in this planet. We try to remember everything what Jesus said to us, and today we still walking, and in His name, Jesus, in your name, we want to be in your journey. Continue with your love and with your patience with us. Guide us. Thank you very much for this work today. Every day you are our light. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the words. Thank you very much for the prayer. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so good morning everybody then. We already got our inspiration to start. Today is Super Bowl Sunday, and it's Carnival in Brazil already. So hopefully everybody's going to have a time maybe to get a little bit of spirituality in a day so full of events going on right now. What we're going to talk about today is something that is a challenge, because we have a major commandment in Christianity, right? There's only one. If you study the teachings of Jesus, right? There's only one major commandment. Only one, right? There's a lot of things, a lot of teachings, but there's only one commandment, which is the pathway for growth. So without it, nothing happens. And it happens to be love thy neighbor as yourself. It's love God above all things, but we don't fully understand God. God is, well, some people think they do, but we don't fully understand God, what it is, right? But our neighbors, we all have, each other around us. And apparently the path is to be loving to each other. And I'm not sure if you are in the same perspective as me. This is not something that happens very easily. Actually, quite the opposite. We have the opposite of love going on in many situations, which is, hate, or even expressions of destruction that we pose on each other, right? And what the intuition I got was to talk to you guys a little bit today. Instead of talking about religious, to say to you like, this is a religious thing, this is a spiritual, you should be good so you go to heaven, or you should be good so the spirits take care of you, or you go to the spiritual cities, whatever belief you have, or if you go to some sort of reward that you can imagine from a religious perspective, instead of going there, I'm going to try to talk about something logical, something kind of, and you just give me a little bit of a break because I'm going to talk a little bit about math, right? And try to analyze why this commandment is embedded in nature, is embedded in the way our lives are. There's one thing that is very popular right now. It's a branch of mathematics that's called game theory. If you Google game theory, my kids would be happy to Google game theory because they would think it's something else. It's not quite what you expect. It's not necessarily using video games only, but it's a theory that studies the outcome when people have to interact, and your outcome depends on the decision of others. Typical, like a game of chess, right? There's two players, and you only win if at the end of the game you have, or if you take the king from the opponent, right? But your winning depends on the moves of your opponent, right? You don't know if you're going to win or not, depending, only on yourself, right? If it's only you, that's not game theory. If it's only your choices against, universe. But if it's you playing with somebody else, there has to be at least two players. Can be more, right? So when you have to map your decisions to their decisions, right? And their decisions influence how much you get, that's what game theory goes for, right? And they try to analyze situations, and it's a vast field. It's kind of new. It started like about 1940s, right? So it's sort of a new branch of math, right? Compared to like geometry that has been probably started for 2,000 years, right? So it's a new branch, and one of the founders that as one of the important contributors to game theory is John Nash. The one we talk a lot about John Nash in our studies on spirituality because he was the one that had the challenges with some dysfunctions regarding personality that we study in our. But this is for a different lecture. So if you have seen the movie Beautiful Mind, that's his story, right, with Russell Crowe. But it's not the topic today. So let me give you an example of what kind of stuff game theory studies. And let me give you something like this, right? So here's the thing. Imagine there's two players, right? There's two players, right? They can only make two decisions. Either they comply, either they continue, or they deviate. Or they accept, or they collaborate, or deviate. Let's call it like that: collaborate or deviate. There's two players, right? If both players collaborate, both, each one gets 2 points, right? If one of them deviates and the other collaborates, the one that deviates makes 4. And the other one's 0. So you take all the money if you deviate. And the opposite, if you collaborate but the other guy wants to take the money, he takes everything, 4, and you get nothing. But if both deviate, if you and the other player both say no or deviate, whatever you want to call it, nobody makes any money. It's 0-0. Nobody gets anything. Did you get it? This is a situation that you don't control the outcome of the other person, right? You're playing a game, right? And this is very typical. This is kind of based on what they call the prisoner's dilemma, right? Which police or the law puts two people that are potential criminals and tell to each other, if you tell on him, you're free. This is a very common use in law enforcement. Usually people might be tempted to tell on the other person, so they get out free. But what happens usually, if both tell on each other, both go to jail for longer times. This is typical in rewards experience. So like for instance, if we collaborate together, we split the money. If I steal your money, I get all the money. If I try to steal you and you don't, I get all the money. But if both try to steal each other, nobody gets anything. In the studies that they have done, it's like typically for us, usually in situations like this where there's a reward for cheating or for doing something non-cooperative, this could end up happening quite a bit. In many situations where nobody makes the least beneficial for both individuals is typically the outcome. Because I don't trust you, you don't trust me, I don't want you to get the money and I get nothing, right? We always deviate. Sometimes they call the Nash equilibrium, which is this: people make no money at all because they don't trust each other, right? So here is, if you look into this, what is the best outcome, logically? 2-2 is the best outcome because we're going to both make money. You're going to have money, I'm going to have money. And if this game repeats, let's say this game repeats, like, this is one round, right? So you can choose one of them. But imagine this game repeating 10 times. How do you think we're going to behave? Let's say you start complying, saying, cooperating, but the other person doesn't. What do you do next? So you said, I cooperate. And the other guy said, no, I don't. You got nothing and the guy got 4. What do you do next? Most probably you're not going to cooperate, right? And from that on, maybe the other person never cooperates and it goes 0 from that point on. Nobody. So which means, you see, if this repeats a certain number of times, the way we act in this game usually conditions our choices, right? And in situations like this, the game theory studies, like, what's the best outcome, what's the best decision. They use this in more complex situations, like when a business wants to make a decision, right? Where we go so we can make the most whatever, and you have to define what you want. But here's the thing, what is your goal? For instance, if your goal is to be competitive, you just want to win. You don't care about how much money everybody makes. You want to win, right? What's your point? What's a good strategy to, if you just want to win, you don't care about you can be poor living nothing, but you win. You deviate all the time because you get the chance. One time the other guy collaborates, you get 4 and that's it. From that point on, 0. You win. You have the least amount of money, but you win. See, the strategy is coming, right? But is that the best outcome? No. If you want to have money, what's the best outcome? No, the best outcome would be probably to C. Because in C, if this game happens many times, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, it's going to be way more than the 4 you could get. Right? And here's the decision. This is interesting. When studying game theory, outcomes of people that are nice become clear the longer the game gets, right? Because collaboration becomes key for success, right? Here's the thing people don't know. They have a challenge when they study. When you imagine this situation happening multiple times, usually they have a number, like, let's play 200 rounds or 300 rounds, right? What happens when you study a game that never ends? Never ends. Keeps going. The game keeps going. It's hard to model because it's difficult to put numbers on that. There's some study on that. But here's the thing. For us, when we bring this knowledge to spirituality, and you model using these tools, the game is forever. Why? Because you don't die and I don't die. All our interactions are between beings that will never die. What is the only possible outcome in the future? What is the only way we're going to grow? What's the only way we're going to succeed? Cooperating. At some point in time, we're going to learn. At some point in time. Right? And this is very clearly why the law of love is not a religious thing. It's embedded in the universe we live in. If you live forever, if I live forever, right? And if we're going to stay close, chances are we will. What is the final sustainable outcome for our relationship? Eventually we'll become a loving one. And when it becomes a loving one, a loving relationship is fundamentally a cooperative relationship. Right? Isn't it interesting that you find this in the nitty-gritty? So when Jesus said the greatest commandment is love thy neighbor as yourself, he was not talking about a religious thing. He was talking about a fundamental building block of the universe. It's something that's embedded in everything we do, in everything we say, and it's our goal. But the timing is ours. We can stay here in the 0-4 in the zero-sum games and winning and just winning the little things and cheating and doing it as long as we want. But the real final destination for all of us is that we are going to cooperate. And cooperation is the early days of, it's the manifestation, natural manifestation of love. When you love, you cooperate naturally. We will have other discussions in the future, but just to give you an idea, game theory is extremely interesting, and it's interesting how much it can connect with the spiritual teachings we talk every day from our awareness and knowledge of Spiritism. That was actually the conversation I would like to have with you today, and we're going to call it like the way. Understanding spirituality through understanding the universe that is all around us. Not just understanding Spiritism, but understanding science as well, of course. Thank you very much, and see you guys soon.